Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I might utter a fairly blasphemous statement, but here it goes. Curls can be useful for powerlifters, and when I say useful, I don't just mean for having bigger biceps, I mean literally for powerlifting purposes, okay? And what I want to make clear here is that we're talking about basic curling for the purpose of getting better at your big lifts, injury prevention, stuff like that. We're not talking about trying to do like a bodybuilder who ludicrously think that 7 different types of curls are going to have all sorts of magical benefits. I'm talking about just keeping stuff simple and understanding that weaker biceps, smaller biceps, like anything else, can represent a source of injuries and a source of weakness inside your overall strength. Okay, and it's something that we have to think about. And I know for a lot of us, we loathe curls. Like I hate curls. I think biceps are stupid. I dislike bodybuilding. But if we have to be objective and set that aside and say, okay, let's set all that aside and really be objective about it, I think there is a strong case to be made for doing certain types of curling for injury prevention at the very least. So what you guys see me doing here in this one is just straight bar curls. Now, one of the things I'm going to note, I think straight bar curls and supine grip stuff in general like this, and I think a very, very strong case can be made for the incline dumbbell curl for this, can help dramatically reduce the chances of tearing a bicep tendon when deadlifting. All right? And I'm someone who has suffered this injury in the past. I have torn a bicep completely. So I've been through this many, many years ago. So it's something I think about. And it has to do with putting that tendon in a stretch position with the full supine grip, just like we do on a mixed grip on a deadlift. Okay, and how do we build connective tissue? Well, we have to load connective tissue, right? And we need to load it at the bottom. We need that bottom position. All right, now that being said, does that mean that we should be doing silly stuff like preacher curls? No, I think preacher curls will get you hurt. So like preacher curls, I know a lot of bodybuilders like, I think inflames the tendon. And it's the problem with it is the angles of the bench and everything. I think that can inflame the tendon. But if we actually go through the trouble to perform types of curling that can put that tendon in a good stretch position without inflaming it, such as with a straight bar or with an incline curl, I think there's merit there for building that up. Okay, and in order for us to build it up, we're going to have to load it with enough volume to do so, which is in turn going to make your biceps grow. Like your biceps are going to have to grow. You're putting them into a stretch position with significant amounts of workload. They're going to grow as a result of that. But one of the things I want to note when you see me using the straight bar here, notice I am not wrist curling it. I have my wrist cocked back. Why? Well, this can cause a lot of tendon inflammation in your forearms because guys turn it into a wrist curl. All right, that can cause you some issues there. And this becomes a very painful exercise. A lot of guys say, oh, I can't do the straight bar, it hurts. Well, maybe you're gripping it too narrow and you're curling that wrist up. Okay, if you let it trail behind, a lot of the concerns for the straight bar do go away. You also have to find your ideal grip, and notice it's going to be at least shoulder width or wider, some cases wider. And here's the thing, you can rotate it out. Just like with anything else, and you start to get some overuse like that, if it does cause it, you can go over to an easy curl bar for a while. In fact, it's not a bad idea to do so if you start to get any sort of other tendon pain. But the straight bar really, really puts us in a good position if you think about it, because it's exactly how we grip a supine grip deadlift, right? With our mixed grip, using a barbell. Okay? We're training with volume, training ourselves in that position, right? Okay, that's going to make us more injury resistant there. I'm not saying it's all we should do. We should be taking care of tendon health in general, deloading when necessary, rotating exercises, and getting rid of that arm bend on the deadlift, and working on our grip strength in general. If our grip is stronger, we're also less likely to have these problems. Okay, but this can help a lot. Then let's go over and let's talk about the bicep itself. What's one of the most important exercises we need for overall strength? It's going to be rowing and pulling. Okay? Having an upper and a middle back that is too well developed, there is no such thing for powerlifting purposes. Okay, we can argue that for bodybuilding they want certain proportions. We don't care about that. You want a jack back, and if your back outshadows everything else, that's perfectly acceptable. Okay, we want to overdevelop our back. A lot of times biceps can become a weak link in our rowing. A lot of times biceps also have a higher effective volume. Right? Sometimes they have a higher minimum effective volume than lats and stuff do, and in some cases they have a much higher maximum recoverable volume. So they can benefit from the extra curls. And you know what? That'll increase our work capacity of the bicep. And if our biceps are giving out when we're rowing and they don't have enough work capacity, then guess what? It's going to limit our back development. Now, anytime we increase work capacity of a muscle, it usually accompanies hypertrophy because we know volume is a primary driver of hypertrophy, as long as it's recoverable volume. Okay, so that extra volume is going to make the biceps grow in addition to helping us get better at rowing. Okay, so it also can shore up one of our weak links for very, very important supplemental work. It can shore that weak link up. So that's a good thing there. But what about primary movers? What about other things? Well, it's not used as a primary mover on any of the big three. It's one reason a lot of powerlifters don't care about it. But what about as a dynamic stabilizer? How about on the bench press? You know, people will say things like, well, we have stabilizer muscles. And they act like it's this magic word, like that they're muscles that we don't have names for. Right? We have stabilizer muscles that don't appear on the anatomy chart. That's almost what people act like when they talk about working the stabilizers. Well, the biceps are a major stabilizer on the bench press. Okay, they are one of the magical stabilizers we're talking about. So having strong biceps can be beneficial there, but what about the compressive side? People say, what do you mean? Okay. A bigger bicep creates a cushion at the bottom of the bench press at the elbow. Okay, you can act like an elbow wrap or a knee wrap does, right? It stores energy up against something. If you add a bunch of bicep mass, you actually have almost like a cushion that your forearm presses against out of the bottom. Just like we use our lats to help out at the bottom, right? We use our lats. Even though the lats are not a primary mover, they can improve your bench press, right? Because they can press against your triceps and help pop it up externally. Right? They're not a primary mover, they push against your body. It's like cheating. Using your lats to push against your arms on the way up, if they're big enough. Well, it's the same thing with biceps. Bigger biceps can do the same thing pushing against the forearm. Okay, so it actually is beneficial to us if we're chasing a big bench through any means necessary. Biceps and lats help a lot. Well, let's come back over to what we just said about the biceps and lat development. The two can tend to go hand in hand. So I'm going to make the case here that even if we're trying to create these extra leverages to help us with the bench press, spending some time doing some curling and building your biceps could actually help you out. Like literally help you out, not just injury prevention and stabilizing, but actually increase your max. It's not a bad idea to do some bicep work, guys. It really isn't. Doesn't make it bodybuilding. You don't have to say, oh, I'm doing bodybuilding just because you're doing some curls. And I think that's where a lot of us have hang-ups over it, because we find bodybuilding so revolting and so disgusting for a lot of reasons I'm not going to cover here, that, you know, we don't want anything to do with it, and we think of curls as a bodybuilder movement. But realistically, it can do a lot for your deadlift and particularly your bench press. It really can. All right, guys, well, that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.